A couple of driver swaps this afternoon. I believe Carlos Sainz is in for Charles Leclerc. I think Stroll's in for Alonso as well. What are these barriers that are up down the pit lane? What's all that about? What's going on there? It'll be a weird season for Carlos Sainz. A really weird season. You know, knowing he's been replaced. It's rough, that. It's, God, who's on the cover? It's Will Buxton and, Jolyon Palmer. I don't mind Jolyon Palmer, actually. Oh my god, it's very windy. It's very windy. Wind all over the place. Look at these cars, right? And this is the same in all motorsport. I look at these cars and I see, like, I don't even begin to comprehend how intricate they are and how they're designed and how the mechanics put them together. Especially as they keep changing over the course of the season. Still doing work on this underfloor of the Mercedes. I'm not expecting anyone to be rushing out. You know, you've got 4 hours. There's plenty of time to be, you know, cracking on. Looks so different. The setting of the Bahrain track looks so different in the sun. I said that Ferrari didn't look, you know, it didn't look fantastic. It didn't look great, and I still stand by that. I don't think it does look fantastic. We got banging tunes down there. Wolves. I had a pasta. It was like a healthy pasta. It was actually like a chicken. Well, it was like a southern fried, but not quite southern fried. Chicken pasta. Trying to lose a few pounds, you know. I lost a good amount of weight before the wedding, but then I did indulge a bit after the wedding, and then it was Christmas. So, I mean, I'm not talking a massive amount, but just trying to get that weight back off. So, yeah, been hitting the gym. Trying to eat a little bit better. Healthy eating. Blech. So I wouldn't necessarily say it was a nice lunch, but it was a lunch. It depends where you are, Geography. If you're in the UK, you can't watch it on F1 TV because it's broadcast on Sky. Other countries in Europe, you can watch it on F1 TV. In America, I think it's on ESPN. It just depends where in the world you are, depending on the rules of your country. But whichever way you look at it, it's a paid service. It's not. They're not streamed for free. Well, it is on ESPN because someone was watching it on ESPN earlier, Current. Literally, someone was watching it on ESPN. Monkeyface said it's on ESPN Plus, and someone said it was on ESPN. They looked and it was on ESPN, so they were off to watch it. But so I'm being told, someone else is telling me that it's not on ESPN, but 2 people earlier said it was. I'm not in America, so I can't confirm or deny, but that rear wing on the Ferrari looks a bit wobbly, doesn't it? Looks really wobbly. Yeah, it did wobble last year, you're right. That aero rake is probably a fair bit of weight on that rear wing though. So. Yeah, it's a very stiff Ferrari. Oh, hiya, Sean. I hope you had some tasty lunch. I think I need to change this font. It's not very readable on the race notes here. Or I need to like make it bold or something. Yeah, I'm not sure that makes it any better. Do-do-do-do. God, no, that's not the one. I'll leave it at that, bro. I'll leave it at that. Anyway. Let me see if I can find a picture of it for you, Tilbo. This is a good example of it here. So you see here, right? This is the top flap. So the wing, by the rules, has to go from the end plate and attach to the nose cone. This is the nose cone here. What Mercedes has done is basically end the wing here, and to abide by the rules, put a tiny piece of carbon fiber so that the wing does extend to the nose. By doing this, they create an air vortex on this wing, a vortex that F1 is trying to get away from. It's called the Y250 vortex, that pushes air like around the tire, as I understand it. Essentially causing a little bit less drag and pushing some of the unwanted air away. I think that's what it is. I mean, as I understand it. So, yeah, it's just an innovative solution for the front wing. We'll see if it actually works. Mike. Yeah. I'm trying to get a feel for his read. They obviously don't give much away because all the drivers, right, they say that they don't know how fast they're going to be. And then at the end of the season, when their season sucked, they were like, yeah, I knew as soon as I drove the car that it was shit. But when they drive the car, obviously they're not going to say that. They're just saying, oh, no, yeah, we don't know. They know. They know pretty early on, right, how the car feels and if it feels good or it feels bad. They also have a pretty good idea through extensive simulations and photographs what the other teams are doing to an extent. You know, they get an idea, okay, that car's on heavy load. And they've got simulations that will extrapolate where they think they are. They're not going to give any of that away, but it's there. So they tell us they don't know. They pretend, but they know. I mean, they did a lot of laps. Like, Alonso did a lot of laps. God, that aero rake of Ferrari bouncing along the ground. Careful! You wouldn't want it to bounce off, would you? He did 77, yeah. 77 laps in the morning session. It's impressive. Ferrari has a very similar... We haven't really spoke about it. The Red Bull vertical intake, Ferrari has the exact same one. We haven't really spoke about it, but they have something very similar underneath their side pod. It's worth bearing in mind. I'm talking about the vertical intake. Ferrari have one as well. Yeah, well, I think that's what the Red Bull is. It's an S-duct. I think that's exactly what the Red Bull one is as well. The vertical one's an S-duct. The top one's, they're cooling. So we've talked a lot about the Red Bulls, but Ferrari have one as well. Ferrari's maybe a little bit smaller, maybe, but. Tell you this, all of these cars look like a handful on the C5 tire. C5 and C4. No, C0, sorry. C0, C1. C5's the fast tire. The soft tire. Yeah, they're all struggling on that hard tire. Also, I'd have to look. I'm not sure that hard tire is used around this circuit in the normal race weekend. I'd have to see. Hold on, let me have a look. Bahrain 2024 tire. C1, C2, and C3. Oh, those hard tires are used. Is that the right one? Yeah, it is the hard tyre that is used. So the C1, which is the hardest tyre in the range, is the tyre that is being brought to Bahrain. That will be the hard. Then the C2 will be the medium. The C3, which is currently the medium being run, is the soft for the Bahrain Grand Prix. So that is essentially the soft tyre. You think Lance Stroll's going to survive at Aston Martin? I just feel like... I don't think anyone would disagree that he would be in trouble if he was at any other team, I think. What you're saying sounds right to me, Dan. What you're saying sounds right, but... yeah. If I feel like at some point the investors are going to get involved as well. His dad owns the team, but he's part of a consortium that owns the team. You know, eventually they might want to be like, oh, hold on. Mercedes said apparently, I'm not sure who said this, if it was, I don't think it was Allison, but Mercedes said they were focused, they weren't focused on mileage, they were focused in just their learning. So they weren't worried about not having as much mileage in that first session. They were trying various things out. So I don't know if that's just something they're saying just to save face or whatever. Currently, all the cars have gone back in. There's not... no one is out on track. Russell hasn't been out yet. One sec. Ugh. Nine Games, how you doing, buddy? I still can't get over that Alpine nose. It's so chunky, isn't it? Alpine looks a handful. That means that the Alpine doesn't look particularly good out on track. It looks like it's lacking a lot of rear grip, sliding quite a lot. It didn't look very good in the morning. So, they made... I can't remember who the woman was on the grid presenter. They said, oh, Mercedes have got something special going on with their steering wheel. And basically, Mercedes have got a partnership with WhatsApp. And so, Mercedes have got a button on their wheel with the WhatsApp logo. And it's just their radio. It's just, their team radio just has a WhatsApp logo. It's completely stupid, but... It's daft, isn't it? But daft. Logan Sargent. I'm not sure if Logan's in the car this afternoon. I needed to have the driver list in front of me of who's in. I know some of them, but not all of them. George is in the Mercedes. I think he's going to be coming out soon. He's got a Mercedes engineer giving him a little something something. There's a new duct on the nose high up of the Mercedes. A lot of cars have got them. The Aston Martin. The FIA have allowed another duct for driver cooling after what happened at Qatar. So you might see some of the cars having a couple of ducts. No one answered me earlier. I don't know if any of you know. This Hugo that sponsors... Visa, Cash App, Racing Bulls. Is that Hugo Boss? Is it because it's not called Hugo Boss, just called Hugo, or is this a different Hugo? Why is it just Hugo? Is there a different brand that the Hugo Boss have that's just Hugo? Yeah, I don't understand why all the branding's just Hugo though. You think Hugo's the perfume? Okay. So I've assumed it's Hugo Boss, but is Hugo Boss a brand that is two companies matched together? No, it was founded by Hugo Boss. That was his name. There you go. You learn something new every day. It was founded by a man called Hugo Boss. Well, not according to this, Alex. It was founded by a man named Hugo Boss. So it's not two different brands. The company was founded in 1924 in Germany by Hugo Boss, Hugo Ferdinand Boss. was a German businessman, an early oh God. An early member of the Nazi Party. Ah. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna scrub. I'm just gonna, yep, okay. Did not know that. He did yeah, I'm gonna stop that. But yeah, it's not two brands. It was started by Hugo Boss. No, that makes sense, Alex. But what is the Hugo part then? So they've got a separate brand that they've introduced just called Hugo. But what is that part of the business? How is it separate to Hugo Boss, I suppose? Is that their aftershave and perfume, is it? Hugo, and Hugo Boss is the clothing? Is that how it differs? Hugo is your clean-cut, laid-back clothing. Often more daring. Hugo is the fun sibling. Okay. So it's corporate speak then. Okay, cool. Corporate spiel. Got it. It's exactly the same, but entirely different. Okay, cool. Just watching this lap of Max's now. Great traction on the Red Bull, like. Still understeery though. Turn 4. But that Red Bull does look planted. It didn't look good earlier in the morning. But it looks good now. Yeah, it looks good. The biggest difference is the style. Okay, listen, as you can tell, I'm not a fashion expert. I know nothing about fashion. So... yeah, it looked like a decent lap from Max. It's a very stable car. Earlier on, though, he was really struggling with traction and the rear was getting out on him quite a lot. But they've gone through the session and it definitely looked a lot better. So they definitely improved significantly. George Russell, out on track. Sainz is out on track as well. .37.5 degree track temp. No DRS from George. Yeah, it's just a steady lap from George. No, he's not going mad. The traction looks good from the Mercedes, though. I think the traction looks good from what I've seen so far. Looks pretty compliant. So, yeah, there is a lot of front wing flex. Obviously, they've put a lot of anti-dive into that front wing, into the front suspension. Sorry. Trying to look at the wing going down the straight here and when he brakes. Of course, it goes to the reverse angle. Yeah, it's no good for anyone. Yeah. From what we've seen as well, there's pictures of the Red Bull that we've seen. Let me find this. Without its bodywork on. Where has it gone? Yeah. So this is a picture of the Mercedes without, not the Mercedes, the Red Bull, sorry, without the bodywork. And people have said that they wouldn't be able to go to a zero pod concept from this. They would require a complete repackaging. So they might slim the side pods down, but it's not going to be like a zero pod like Mercedes went to. They can slim it down, but based on their radiator alignment, don't think that would, you know, necessarily be like a huge difference. But they might be planning a smaller side pod at some point. Have to wait and see. For those of you on Twitch as well, just go give that video a little like, you know, just give that a little tickle. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's you see, I see that Alpine coming around the corner and the nose is just so big, I can't get over it. It looks so out of place to me. It looks so out of place. Oh yeah, a lot of work going on that Macca. A lot of work being done on the Macca. Yeah, the whole floor's off, so... Lando will be out soon enough. Why is there a checkered flag symbol next to Max Verstappen? Have they just told Max that's enough for you? Gasly's in for Ocon as well this afternoon. Yeah, I don't like the way the Alpine looks, admittedly, but the nose is just so wide. You see it coming down the track and it just looks odd. Maybe it is the livery that doesn't help it. I don't know. Yeah, as the day goes on, the Red Bull's looking quicker. I'm not even talking about times now, but it looks stable. It looks more dialed in. It looks... It's going to be strong, that Red Bull. And he's back out on the C1 tyres as well. This is the tyre he struggled with earlier in the day. Track's a little bit more gripped up now. He's just trundling around. He's, yeah. Yeah. Red Bull's looking good. Yeah, Max has already won testing. Send everyone home. Checkered flag they've given him. He wins the testing world title. I mean, everyone, you know, the amount of people that think testing is, you know, the times are important. The Formula One Testing World Championship of 2024. The Ferrari doesn't look anywhere near as planted as that Red Bull. Nowhere near. Yeah, I think the Red Bull looks worse this year because of the Canon engine covers. Oh, understeer, understeer. Underlay, underlay. It's... yeah. Yeah. Sainz is now up to 11 laps. Verstappen's up to 70. Alonso's still in the pits. Russell's gone back into the pits, so he didn't stay out for very long. Russell's still only up to 53 laps for the day. Antonio, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate you. Gasly's only done 3 laps. No, there's some rain in Saudi Arabia apparently, but well, they were doing an F3 test a couple of weeks ago, and it was hammering it down in Bahrain. Like, really? So, Verstappen's doing laps that are only just over a second, or 1.3 seconds slower than his best so far on that, and he's on the hardest tyre. Now, that is an interesting rule that they're talking about there. We've spoken about this so much. In IndyCar, if you cause a red flag, you lose your fastest time. Oh, yellow flag. Full course caution, you lose your fastest time. And they've brought that into F2 this year, apparently. It's just a detriment. If you've caused a red flag, you don't benefit from it, which is... Oh, Sainz crossing the pit line there. Yeah, Sainz was like, oh, should I? He left that late, didn't he? Right, I'm going to sit back down for a bit. They're only now talking about Carlos. It was ages ago. My sound's gone off. I think I've moved the wire. Cable came loose. So which cars do we think are looking good then? Red Bull's looking good, solid. I wouldn't have said that first thing this morning. Ferrari, not quite for me. Sainz is taking a lot of stabs on the wheel. Aston Martin looks nice. Albon's been out on the bloody C4 tyre. Yeah, Aston looks pretty good. I mean, I don't think the Mercedes looks bad from what I've seen. The rear of that Ferrari still looks quite bouncy as well. You remember at the start of 2022, Alfa Romeo were near the front, you know, that leading pack, because, not really because they were fast, but because every other car was overweight. But, I mean, there is a chance that Stake could be, you know, there or thereabouts in the front of the midfield if they get it right. I think that it might be the paint job on that Alpine that makes the nose look wider, because that Aston Martin nose was fairly wide as well. It blends at the bottom better. I think maybe the Alpine looks wider than it is. I don't know. Just looks like a slab of a car. Yeah, Lance is getting in for Aston. That front wing on the Haas is quite high as well, isn't it? Quite a high front wing. What is MoneyGram, by the way? What is MoneyGram? The MoneyGram Haas. What's MoneyGram when it's at home? Money transfer service. What do we need money transfer services for? Can't someone just go onto their banking app and transfer money? What do we... MoneyGram. Send money online on your Apple phone or Android. I like PayPal. Okay. Okay. Save big money on bank transfers. Okay, okay, MoneyGram. Got it, got it, got it. Danny Rick is also in the car. He's gone out now. Sonoda did 64 laps this morning, so... What is that bulge on the nose of the racing bull? It's got like a black bulge. Is that a camera? I don't know what that is. Some sort of sensor? It might be a cam. I don't know what that is. It's definitely strapped on. I think it is a camera. Yeah, it's a camera. Maybe looking down at the front wing, maybe? I would just like to know why the Visa and Red Bull logo on that Racing Bull is silver when the main color accent is white. Why not have those as white as well? And it would look better, surely. I don't understand why you'd have blue, white, and silver. Don't get it. Anyway. Just so he's not top of the... I would be glad that someone go faster than just so people don't tune in and go, oh, Verstappen's. I've seen so many people online like, oh, just give him the title. Max is already... You know what I mean? Like, oh. Tedium. I mean, the likelihood is that Red Bull will be the fastest car, but, you know, doesn't mean anything from one test session. Doesn't stop people, you know. Doesn't stop people thinking it, though. Right, Russell's out. Again. Oh, he's got the DRS open. Hello. Let's see if we stay on board with this. Not as planted as the Red Bull, but it doesn't look bad. Good traction. Not a lot of understeer. Lost a load of time. Oh, a bit of oversteer there. Lost a load of time in that middle sector there. I thought he was going to be on a quicker lap because he was only 3/10 down in the first sector, so I thought he was on a quicker lap, but maybe not. We'll see. Yeah, the front wing. I'm just going to rewind this a little bit for a second. The Merc was a little bit twitchy, but I do think it looks all right. The Merc. You can see that front flap flexing up as he brakes. Just through the suspension arm, you can see it. That top flap. Yeah. It's flexing. Norris is out on track. Lots of teams have been trying to improve their DRS performance as well because Red Bull was so far ahead with DRS last year. So teams have been trying to improve in that area. I'm sure they have. I tell you what, this lap already looks pretty hooked up from Lando. I know he's 3 seconds off. He wasn't going flat out, but it looked really stable. Hmm. What's Alex Albon saying? Albono. Hmm. Fuel pump issue for Albon. I don't think Sargent's been out yet, though. No, Sargent hasn't been out yet. I like Albon. I'd like to see Albon do more. Yeah, Alpine hasn't looked good on track to me. I don't know what anyone else thinks who's been watching, but the Alpines looked pretty all over the place this morning. Pigeon, how you doing? Afternoon. We're on board with Gasly now. So maybe they've made some tweaks. It just looks really twitchy, the Alpine, to me. It's, yeah. So Mercedes and Red Bull are the only teams to run their drivers all day on the first day. Other teams are doing it tomorrow, but it's only Hamilton and Perez that won't get in the car today. Everyone else will get half a day's running. Yeah, the Alpine looks really twitchy. Doesn't look... Oh my god. Steak's bleeding! The steak's bleeding! There's blood everywhere! Medic! We've answered our question of what Flovis colour steak are going to use. Red! That's what colour they're going to use. Bright red. I mean, it's green. It's like the Predator. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Unleashed. I mean, they call themselves like it's a beast, isn't it? An unleashed beast. So of course it bleeds. It makes sense, really, doesn't it? Oh, yeah. That'll be one sec. Ugh. It's been reported that Williams, because they're using pull rod at the rear, whereas Mercedes has switched to push rod, that they might have kept last year's suspension. Not sure I trust that name. Well, yeah, it's hard to remember. You can never remember which one's which. Stolen that if it bleeds we can kill it line. That's gone straight on Twitter. I'm not giving you any credit, J-Bar. See ya. Yeah, because I always forget push rod and pull rod. I always get them confused. Push rod is vertical into the chassis, I think, whereas pull rod is vertical into the wheel. I think, if my memory's right. But Williams haven't taken the Mercedes suspension, so there's two options. They've either designed their own gearbox casing, because that's where the suspension attaches to. And Mercedes have a new gearbox. They've either made their own gearbox casing to use with suspension they've designed themselves, or they've kept Mercedes gearbox and suspension from last year because of a design decision they wanted to make with the car. Those are the two options, really. Yes, yes, yes. Even in Lance Stroll's hand, the Aston Martin looks nice on track. And that's saying something, isn't it? Yeah, so I got it right then, Pigeon. Push is high on the chassis, whereas pull is low on the chassis. Yeah. Oh yeah, that aero rake, yeah. Wild, isn't it? It's basically where the rocker is. So the wheel either goes down and pulls the rocker, or it pushes the rocker. Hence pull rod, push rod, etc. But I always just forget which way round it is. Well, there's Lewis in the garage. I don't think Lewis looked super happy there. I think he saw himself in the being watched in the cameras and moved back hiding. The Toto didn't look very happy in the press conference. He was just like, maybe he was just tired. I really like James Vowles, by the way. I really like him. He comes across as such a nice guy. He knows his stuff. He's such a good person, I think, to be running that Williams team. He's got heritage at Mercedes, but he knows his stuff. He explains it really well. When he's on the team radio, he's really good at explaining stuff. And he's running a team, but he's been in engineering. It's just really, really good, James Vowles. I've got a lot of time for him. What the hell are those things in the radiator cover on the Ferrari? It looks like those, you know, those battery-operated lamps that you can stick to surfaces. Looks like they've got some of those in the... What the hell are they? Like bloody reflectors or something. You can even see, it's such a good angle that because you can see the angled radiator. Yeah, some sort of sensor anyway. Well, I'm guessing that's what it is. It's a sensor, but it just looks weird. Yeah, really, really good, James Vowles. Got a lot of time for him. Knows his stuff. Yeah, I was pausing it while I was talking. It's testing. I pause it all the time, and I just have a look at stuff, and then I don't refresh sometimes, and then I'll go back and get it back up to speed. I was probably like 2 or 3 minutes behind. I'm back live now. Obviously, you can't see my feed, so you can't see that I'm pausing it every now and again to look at stuff. AS is sponsored by Chipotle. Let's hope it doesn't give them a leaky back. I've never had Chipotle. The Hadz does look leaky at the back, though. It's very, very light at the rear. Never had Chipotle, so I can't really speak for it. There's a Chiquitas fairly close to us, and they do... I've shared a picture of this before. They do an ultimate fajita. And it's like this massive sort of sizzler tray with chicken, steak, obviously all the veg, peppers, onions, pulled pork and everything on it. Then they bring it out with a load of sauces and obviously the wraps. And you can ask for more wraps if you want it. It's like 20 quid. Big fan of the ultimate fajita. Huge fan. How long is left? We currently have 2.5 hours. No, actually, it's longer than that. 2 hours 40. Yeah, 2:47. So I'm a big fan of the mega fajita. The time we've been waiting for, kids. Logan Sargent is going to be coming out on track. Lance Stroll, on the other hand, has done 2 installation laps and then nothing. His teammate in the morning session, Fernando Alonso, did 77 laps. Yeah, he's done very, very little. Verstappen hasn't really done many laps this afternoon either. Well, it's afternoon for us, evening for them. Well, he's done 2 installation laps, but he hasn't done any actual full laps yet. The only cars we've got out on track are Zhou Guanyu in the Stake, Kick, Sauber, F1, Hulkenberg in the Haas, Gasly's just on an outlap in the Alpine, and Russell's just gone on an outlap in the Merc. Listen, I like Logan. He's a nice guy. I don't rate him as a talented driver, but I like him. Pierre Gasly, let's have a look now. He's on the Hadz. I wanted to watch that onboard of Gasly to see how that Alpine was handling, but they've gone away from it. Merc have shown very little. They've been making lots of changes to the car. They've really not shown their hand at all. What we've seen of the Merc has looked pretty tidy from the onboards. It hasn't looked like as much of a struggle as it did last year, but again, that doesn't, it's all relative, isn't it? Hey, I don't blame you. You should pull from it as an American. Also, it's great to have an American in the sport, like as a driver. And there should be more. There's lots of talented American drivers that could come into the sport. And maybe they would have if Formula One would have accepted Andretti. A lot of talk of Colton Herta, but to be honest, Colton Herta hasn't been doing particularly well in IndyCar the last couple of years, has he? Colton Herta's rated like very, very highly, but like, the last couple of years, unless I'm mistaken, he hasn't done great in IndyCar. But let's be honest, Logan Sargent, he's not great, is he? Hello is Spanish, I think. I could be wrong. Have I got that right? Is he Mex? I think he's Spanish. I think Alex Plo is Spanish. I apologize to him in advance if I'm wrong. Logan has to improve this year, right? He has to improve. Because, Albon Albon was just better by far, wasn't he? Last year and the year before, but last year especially. He has to improve. He has to. And so, yeah. I don't think we should ever be, hoping for a driver's downfall. We should always be trying to big them up. And so I really hope that Logan does improve this year. Well, unless you're Nikita Mazepin, in which case, fuck him, But everyone else, we should be trying to, uplift. So I hope that Logan does better this year. God, that stake looks so horrible up close, doesn't it? With all the carbon. Ugh, it looks horrible. So fingers crossed he does better this year. And he gives Albon a bit more of a challenge. No. You be honest, Aiden. I don't mind. I will say this. Is it all Logan or is it Albon just being better? Like, do we think that it was Albon being so much better was just because Albon is a better driver, which I do think anyway? But is that gap all Albon being better, or is it Sargent not being very good? I think it's somewhere in the middle. I think at some point Albon is the better driver. I don't think anyone would argue with that. Well, maybe Logan would, but I think ultimately it's also Logan underperforming, which is making Albon look, you know, even better. I think there's drivers on the grid that are really good drivers, but they're not like world championship winning drivers. And I'm not sure about Albon, because if you look at his achievements in the lower formulas, he's a very quick guy, and he's raced against some of the top guys as well. So, but something about him doesn't necessarily scream world champion to me, Albon, but I do think he's a quick guy. And he's a lovely guy, which helps, but I'm not sure he's world champion. I'm not sure it's even him being too nice. I don't know. I don't think he's got that cutting edge that people like Verstappen have got, you know? Yeah. I just think the kit car looks sidious. I think it just looks sidious, and we should absolutely banish it. I don't really understand the lightning strike either on the stake. I don't get it. Down the back, I don't understand the design. Well, Sargent straight out on the fastest tyre, the C5. Everyone's doing C3 runs, and Sargent just goes out on the softest of all compounds. A lad in the back of the garage looks like Kieran. Pat chat. Pat looks like a cool kid. Pat looks like someone that, you know, goes to Benidorm for his holidays. You know? I'm not sure what the chain is around his neck, but, you know, I don't know anything about style, so he does look like a smart man, yeah. Is this replay going to be showing George Russell locking up? Yeah, a little bit of a lock up there into turn 8. Classic spot to lock up there. Yeah, Pato's really good. I think Alex Palou would do really well in Formula 1, to be honest. But like I say, he's not American, he's Spanish, but I think he would do really well. What other IndyCar drivers would do well in Formula 1, do you think? Red Bull going out on the hard tyres with some Flovis. Grosjean. That's how you did. Norris still only done 8 laps, 2.5 hours into the test. Ricciardo's only done 4, Stroll 4, Sargent 2, and Zhou Guan Yu 9. You know, so an hour and a half in, sorry. Still be looking to get some more laps under their belt. Was it Mark? No, Marcus Ericsson didn't win the Indy last year, did he? Marcus Ericsson obviously used to race in Formula 1, now races Indy cars. Done well for himself over there. Salo as well. I don't actually know who won last year. I'm going to find out for you now. Oh, it's Newgarden. Joseph Newgarden won. Also, if you look at Formula 1 drivers, right, ex-Formula 1 drivers that have done well for themselves, you can look no further than bloody Kobayashi. Kamui Kobayashi, right? Or what was he called? Kobayashi, whatever his name was. You know, but in WEC, he's, you know, absolute fucking legend. He races for Toyota. He's won Le Mans numerous times with Toyota. He wasn't necessarily great in Formula 1, but he's been great in endurance racing. His pole lap from a few years ago was incredible. So he obviously has the skill, he has the ability. For whatever reason, he just wasn't able to show it in Formula 1, but he's then had success in the WEC, so yeah. What the hell is that flap on the... There's like a panel on the Mercedes front wing. On the front left and front right of that front flap, there's a panel. What's that about? Yeah, Giovinazzi. So others have gone to other series and, you know, done well for themselves. Quite regularly. You know, and I think Mick Schumacher's going to struggle a little bit because it's a different, it's just so different, like multi-class racing, so different. WEC, yeah. Because, you know, Mick in the Alpine, different kettle of fish, isn't it? Multi-class racing, that experience of going through the cars and the traffic is, yeah, you just can't beat it. I would have loved to have seen Fernando win the Indy 500, you know, when he competed in it. Oh man, imagine. Well, Aston Martin are... They were doing it, then they stopped, and now they're doing it again. The Aston Martin Valkyrie is going... They're making the hypercar now. So there is a route there for Fernando in the hypercar. I mean, Lance could end up going that. you know what's interesting with Lance? I feel like the last... This is going to be controversial now. I actually think Lance is likely to leave Aston Martin rather than be kicked or anything, because I think over the last few years he's actually looked pretty disinterested. I feel like he's looked really disinterested in especially last year. Maybe just his results were getting him down or something, but he looked really like he didn't want to be there. Maybe he might just decide at some point he needs a new challenge. I mean, to be fair, if every weekend you went to work and you were getting spanked by Fernando Alonso, you'd probably too think, bloody hell, do you know what? I need another job. You know what I mean? I need a new pissing job. I'm sick of this. Yeah, he pushed his... Yeah, he was... Yeah. He was definitely getting fed up. My instinct is that Aston Martin will have a good car this year, but it won't be a title contender. And that's based on absolute facts that I have made up in my mind. We haven't spoken about this, or we might have mentioned it in this morning's stream. This year, DRS is enabled after 1 lap. So 1 lap after the start of the race, and obviously 1 lap after a safety car restart as well, rather than 2. Which could make a big difference in cars like getting away and building a gap at the start of the race. You know, you won't have 2 laps now to build that second gap. You'll only have 1. Who do you think, right? This is purely based off what you've seen. We can't judge times at all. But based on whoever's been watching testing, based on what you've seen of the cars on track, and then the rest complete guesswork, who do you think the top 3 teams are going to be? My top 3 teams, based on what I've seen: Mercedes, McLaren, Red Bull. With Red Bull at the front, McLaren and Mercedes somewhere behind. That, based on just the behaviours of the cars from the onboards. Oh, but then Aston Martin could be in that mix. Oh, God. Maybe Aston Martin would be ahead of the Mercedes, possibly. No, McLaren haven't done a lot, but I feel like the car looks pretty solid when it's out there. Norris is on some longer high fuel runs now anyway. I just based purely on what I've seen, the Ferrari didn't look that great. Like, obviously they've got plenty of time to sort it. So like I say, you can't read too much into it, but the Ferrari still looked really unstable at the rear to me. It didn't look completely balanced to me. Yeah, Ferrari have locked up quite a lot, and they've had a lot of lot of rear end twerking, let's say. When you see the Aston Martin in front of the Alpine, like I just did there, you really see the difference in nose sizes. The way the Aston tapers at the front and the Alpine just seemingly just gets wider. Red Bull looked really unstable first thing this morning, but then they sorted it out and then it looked good. Lance Stroll locking a wheel. I'm not shocked. Turn 8 and turn 9 are the classic places to be locking wheels. It's Lance Stroll, isn't it? We expect it. We expect it from Lance Stroll, don't we? Yeah, it does look like a platypus. That's what I mean. It just looks... Yeah, I don't like it. What's Merck's issue? There isn't an issue. They're just going about their plan. Carlos Sainz is looking pretty solid out there at the minute, though. Pumping in some good time. How many laps has he done? He's already done 28 laps, so he's doing all right. Yeah, first time in history that the entire grid has stayed the same between seasons. I mean, it's pretty mad, really. Not one single driver change between seasons. Here's the thing, though. Technically, there is a driver swap between the start of 2024 and the start of 2023 because of Nick de Vries, but he was replaced mid-season, so it doesn't count. But we obviously know that there's driver swaps next year, so it's not going to stay the same again. It's a good question with Carlos Sainz. My instinct is that he will go to the Sauber project, Sauber Audi project, sorry, the Audi project rather than Sauber. Currently Sauber, but that would mean he'd have to go to Stake for a year. I'm not sure he'd want to do that. I don't know. Could he go to Mercedes? But I'm not sure I see that either. So... I don't think I see him going to Mercedes. I don't think he'd want a year off, though, would he? Bring Nick de Vries back. Put him in a Red Bull. Let him show what he's made of. Flaws coming off the Aston Martin. Look, I think Lawson is good, right? I don't think I don't think he's good enough. I don't know. Yeah, Nick is in WEC now, yeah. don't know about Sainz. I don't know where he'd go. Would Mercedes want Sainz? I'm not sure. I don't know. I think it depends who Mercedes go for, because if Mercedes choose someone other than Sainz, especially if it's someone that isn't currently on the grid, then that narrows the options for Sainz quite a lot. Miss Will, any drama? No, not really. Williams stopped this morning, but nothing. No drama. I think it also depends how Kimi Antonelli does in Formula 2. That's the Mercedes young driver. If Kimi Antonelli absolutely smashes Formula 2, which there's no guarantee he will, but he is highly rated, there is a potential chance that Mercedes could take a risk on him and be like, okay, he's the next like Verstappen or Hamilton. We're going to put him in that Merc. And if that happens, then Sainz's options are then pretty limited. And I think the only option for him there would be the Audi project. I believe his dad has ties to Audi. So, I mean, it's a possible, you know, connection. No, Schumacher is, well, he is a test driver. Schumacher's still contracted to Mercedes as a test driver, but this year he's racing WEC for Alpine. But he's at the test today. He is still with Mercedes. Someone has suggested the other option for Mercedes would be Ocon. What do you think of that? He is still a Mercedes. I think he still is a Mercedes like driver. Still has ties to Mercedes. Can you see Ocon and Russell together? I'm not sure about Ocon. I'll be honest. I don't really like Ocon's driving style. I'm not a massive fan of his personality either. Well, the personality that he shows off, at least. You know, but he's a very, very aggressive driver. Very aggro. Do you know what? If I'm being 100% straight with you guys, I just like looking at Carlos Sainz. He's just a glorious man to look at, isn't he? That hair. What hair that man has. He's just a classic handsome Spaniard, isn't he? Like you see in the movies. Just such a handsome haired bastard. You know? Just easy on the eyes, isn't he? And then with that Spanish accent. You know? If I wasn't married, my wife would be worried. If I wasn't... What? That doesn't make any sense. But what? If I wasn't married, my wife would be... No, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, you know what I mean. Joe's not here. She can't hear me. Trix, thank you very much for the follow. I will try it out at some point, J-Bear. Yeah, I obviously haven't tried it out today. I wasn't streaming yesterday and I haven't tried it out today. But I will. Maybe Friday or Saturday. I don't have a copy of it, but I have to buy it. It's like 25 quid or something. But I don't have it at the minute. But I am, you know. It's on Steam, isn't it? Early access, so. It is indeed early access. Early access jobber. It's a long old conversation that Ted's been having, isn't it? Lenny, thank you for the follow. He said last question, then he answered it, and then he said last question again. Just having a quick scoot through YouTube to see if there's anything interesting that we haven't spoken about. According to sources in the paddock, according to AMUS, sources in the paddock have said Red Bull could have easily developed their car from last year and they would have still been at the front. However, Red Bull don't want to win. They want to continue dominating. And that is true. That is true. If they get this car right, they will. What's happened with Lewis? Nothing, Dylan. He's not in the car today. He hasn't been in the car. Neither is Perez. They're in tomorrow. Very advanced floor on the Aston Martin as well. Yeah. I was just having a scoot through Twitter. There's nothing that we haven't already spoken about. Guys, Norris has gone quickest. Max Verstappen is not quickest. It's a McLaren. Alarm. 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 Yeah, I think someone was at the door. One second.
Incoming raid.
Oh, Freeman. Sorry, someone was at the door. Thank you, Adam. I love you. Welcome, streamers. It's just me talking about Formula One. Well, you're not streamers, but you might be. Welcome, Muse. You been in a Jack Frags video, Sean? Bloody nerd. How is everyone? Is this... Adam, I've got so many jumpers like this now. I think this makes me an old man. I've got like a black one, a grey one. I've got two of these like really light ones. This is my life now, these sort of winter jumpers. I love it. Makes me feel warm and cozy. It's literally all I wear when I'm at home. Does that make me old? Probably. I may as well be a dad. I'm a dad without a child. can really see a lot of detail in the Ferrari diffuser from that shot. %90 of my attire when we're around the house is just gaming t-shirts and t-shirts that I've accumulated over the years. Only in recent years have I started to get a few more bits of smarter clothing, more grown-up clothing, shall we say. And the worst thing is, I go through just this rotation of t-shirts because my t-shirt drawer is actually overloaded. And what happens is, I never go too deep into it to find his t-shirt. So I'll pick t-shirts out. They go in the wash. They go in the wash. They go in the wash. And then they get washed and they go back on top. And then I just keep pulling the same ones out over and over again. And every now and again, I'll actually dig in and find one that I haven't worn in fucking months. The Ferrari does look... Oh... It's got a lively rear end, that Ferrari, and it's still quite bouncy. He backed out of that lap pretty early. You know, we are what we are, aren't we? Lively rear end and a bit bouncy. I mean, I'll be honest, it's not a description that's far off me either, if I'm being 100% truthful with you. Daniel Ricciardo with the fastest third sector. Heavy midriff, too much engine. Yeah. Verstappen has been in the pits now for quite a long time. Also, when he set his lap time, the temperatures were a lot warmer. Times will naturally get quicker now as the temperature drops. Must be so tough being the son of someone so successful. For instance, Carlos Sainz hasn't been successful to an extent in Formula One. He's won races, but so that is successful, isn't it? That's probably being unfair. It is successful, but his dad, World Rally Championship, just won the Dakar for a second time. Isn't his dad like 60? Carlos Sainz, like senior, is, you know, one of the best in his field, isn't he? He won the Rally Championship twice. 90 and 92. 26 rally wins, 97 podiums. And he's won the Dakar numerous times. Yeah, the difference with Jos Verstappen, though, Max Verstappen's dad, is that Jos Verstappen was shit. That's the difference. And Max isn't shit. Like, Max is a god, but Jos Verstappen was shit. Maybe shit is a little bit unfair, or maybe I'm being a little bit harsh. They are the A50X tag, yeah. The also, I mean, Jos Verstappen just isn't a nice guy. Well, I say that like I know him. From what I've seen of him, I don't believe he's a nice person. He's not someone that I want to deal with anyway. Because he just seemed like a prick. Well, that isn't very good, Tag. What? Wait, hold on. What was the customer service you needed? So you'd contacted them about something before you bought them, but they hadn't responded. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, thankfully I've never had to use their customer service, so I can't speak on it. I'll always remember the story that Max told about he made a mistake at a karting weekend. And I'm not sure exactly on the detail, but he'd made a mistake. I think he'd lost the win or something like that. And his dad was fuming with him. So on the way home, he stopped at a petrol station and made Max get out of the car and left him there. Apparently, Max had to call his mum to come and get him. Now, some people would try and argue, oh, it's hard love. That's why Verstappen is the way he is now. That's why he's so good. And whether that's true or not, it doesn't take away the fact that that is a fucking dog shit thing to do to your child. Like, do you know what I mean? But you get a lot of sports people that had hard love that we would say isn't acceptable growing up. But the outcome of them being successful sports people doesn't warrant the treatment you gave them as children. You can't condone that level of treatment as an adult because of the outcome. Because that's not right. You can't just drop your child off because you're angry they made a mistake and just leave them there and be like, well, he's world champion now, so I guess I was in the right. That's not how it works. Yeah, it's just this is what I mean. Same with the Williams sisters. Really hard, you know, parenting. And you could say, well, that's why they're as good as they are. Well, it doesn't make it right, does it? So how long did it take? It took them a week to reply to you, Tech. Go on. Yeah, that's not good. I just, you know, Jos just doesn't come across as a particularly nice guy, you know? Oh, Verstappen's now, he's had a, he's not liking not being top of the timesheets. See you, Sean. Have a good day, buddy. Yeah, that's not ideal. Max is 7/10 up, okay. I'll be honest, it doesn't even look like he's pushing, to tell you the truth. It doesn't even look like he's pushing. Oh my God. Did you just see Gianpiero Lambassi? That tells you something. That tells you something. Forget the time. Look at the way he smiled then when he saw the time. Now, the time doesn't concern me. It's their reaction to the time that concerns me. They obviously know how much fuel's in that car and everything, and they look very, very happy with that. He looked very happy, and they know how much fuel and engine mode they're running. Yeah, that response from Gianpiero Lambassi concerns me. Yeah, supposedly we now think it's not zero pods, Daz. It's slim side pods, but not as extreme as what Mercedes went for. But as to when that would come, we don't know. He's coming back into the pits, George Russell. Yeah, God, Hamilton and Perez in last. Ugh. Unbelievable. Can you believe it? Yeah, the thing with the Red Bull is, you know, we've said all day you can't really focus on lap times, and it's 100% true. But the thing with the Red Bull is you can focus on how it looks and how it handles, and it does seem to work well. It looks solid. Look at that floor. Ah, that Red Bull floor is mad, isn't it? Oof. Mercedes floor is definitely not as complicated as that. Nor is the Ferraris, actually. Oh, it's Sam Collins. Hide, Tilbo. Tilbo doesn't like Sam Collins. Apparently he dated Tilbo's sister. Sam Collins, one of the Formula One presenters, dated Tilbo's sister, and Tilbo, as such, has an impression of him that he's not keen on. Yeah, but you still get an impression of someone, don't you? God. Hey, Tilbert, it's a fair question, Tilbert. Oh, Smithy. I've heard the name, Ron. I can't... I don't know him. Nor did I know that he was an F1 mechanic. Mercedes accounting ledger. Hey, why aren't you giving me this information for a hot YouTube video? I won't tell anyone you gave it to me. I won't tell anyone, Shock, okay? I won't tell anyone. Unless your real name is Shock Rampage, no one will know. They've been a customer of yours for years, but have they been a customer of yours longer than you've been a sub, Shock? Where are your priorities at? I appreciate I don't pay you. It is technically the other way around. So I appreciate there's not a financial incentive in this for you, right? But, you know, bro's got a bro. You know what I mean? Yeah, but think of the viral video with Mercedes accounting data. Just think of that. Oh, look at you with your BAR Honda. He works for McLaren. Oh. Logan Sargent's already in the gravel. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm actually sure I'm familiar. Sargent in the gravel. But he's carried on going. I think he lost it into turn 8. No, sorry, yeah, it was turn 9, sorry. I don't know, Shock, maybe. Oh my god, he's hit that bump. Round he goes. He's hit that bump that's caught people out before in testing. Yeah, those set of tires are ruined. He went over a bump. Hit the brakes. Round he goes. Oof. Yeah, that's a flat spot. I wonder if the Haas, because we suspect that the Haas is one of the slowest cars. It can't be that slow, can it? It is down the bottom of the timesheet, but again, we can't read too much into that. God, imagine if these were the actual gaps. Red Bull. Imagine if Red Bull had taken a second over the grid. That would be... Oh, my God. Obviously, that's not going to be the case. We bloody hope. Imagine, though. Oh, that is certainly a flat spot on that Williams tyre. Ooh. It's certainly ruined. I do worry. Stroll is already up to P4 in terms of the times, but like I said earlier, much cooler in the evening session. God. Yeah, that was almost straight to the scene of the accident for Logan Sargent. He's a little bit fortunate there. Yeah, I mean, look. Sometimes it's, you know, it's difficult to not look at times and make some sort of assessment, but teams are just doing their own plans, and they, you know, if you're doing your own plan smartly, you don't worry about what other teams are doing. You just go about your own thing, you know. That being said, based on what I've seen from the onboards, I do think Red Bull's still the quickest car. I wonder what Lance Stroll's hands are like now. We didn't really hear too much about them back end of last year, did we, after his accident? I assume they're you know, healed now. No, shock. Year after. 2026 is the new engine regs. Well, yeah, this is the important thing. Like, Haas might be the slowest car this year, but they're not 5 seconds slower. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not that slow. Teams just are doing their own thing. They're not worried about lap times at the minute. Hun, how you doing? George Russell's out back on the C3 because that's the tyre Mercedes have got most of, but his DRS isn't open. He's not going for a speed run. Nah, they don't need to scare other teams, Dad. Everyone's fully aware of how good Red Bull are. I think Red Bull are just doing their own thing as well. I think Red Bull are just doing their own thing. They're not worrying about what other people are doing, to be honest. Verstappen's breached 100 laps now. He's done 105 laps today. Which, if nothing else, is so much data. Alonso did 77, didn't he? But that was only the morning session. So Russell's on some sort of heavy fuel race run. Like Bahrain. How far were the other teams behind Red Bull in Bahrain last year? So Verstappen was on pole, obviously. Perez was second, 0.138 behind. Then it was Charles Leclerc, almost 0.3. Sainz 4.5 tenths. The Mercedes were in 6th and 7th, 6 tenths back on Verstappen. So the question is, do we think Mercedes will be closer than 6 tenths? I don't know. Ferrari were 3 tenths back. Can they bridge that gap? We'll find out next week. Yeah, Gene was locked up for tax fraud. I only found that out the other day. It's why he can't come to the races. He's not allowed to travel. Or he's not allowed to travel to Europe or something like that. But apparently, yeah, he was... I'm not sure if he went to prison. He was charged. I think he went to prison. I don't know. Something to do with tax fraud or some sort of business. I tell you what, the Alpha, let's call it Toro Rosso. The Toro Rosso's looking pretty decent as well, you know. Saying he can't leave the country is probably incorrect. Yeah, so it's something to do with he was in prison then released. Okay, there you go. But surely, if this was in 2008, it's coming on 20 years ago. Surely he's allowed to leave the country by now. Yeah, but why can he still not leave the country? Yeah, I haven't seen top speeds on the straight, Dan. You're saying the Mercedes is... Well, they have worked on improving their drag. I'm sure you'd be able to travel afterwards. Surely it's based on the country that lets you in. For instance, if you're traveling to America and you're convicted of a crime, I don't think you can travel. Or they can deny you entry or deny you a visa. But I think it's to the discrepancy of the country. I can see some of the top speeds, but I can't see the ultimate max top speed on these. As in, I can't see what the fastest time top speed was overall. Russell's doing 273 kph down the back straight. Verstappen's doing 277. Obviously, I can't tell you if that's with DRS or not. I also can't tell you what fuel they're running, engine modes, blah, 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 blah. So, obviously, take that with a pinch of salt. Pretty much everyone that's come into the car in this evening session has improved on the lap times of their teammates. Apart from Hulkenberg and Gasly. Gasly hasn't really done a competitive lap time yet. Oh, and Sargent. But as you would expect, all of the others have improved because it's a cooler track. Sargent looks like he's on a quicker lap. Well, quicker for him anyway. Yeah, Verstappen's just chilling, just plodding around, isn't he? A lot of mileage for that Red Bull team, a lot of data. Yeah, but surely he's finished his parole by now, Teg. This was 2008 he was arrested. He must have finished his parole by now. So, surely he can leave the country. I would have thought, but I don't know. Hi, Eddie. Yeah, it must be per country, where a lot of countries won't allow him in because he's a convicted felon. That sun. Russell's doing race runs again, I believe. Well, I say race runs. High fuel runs at the very least. No DRS. Higher fuel. Well, Gene's got 3 races he can attend in the US, hasn't he? He can go to Miami, to Vegas, to Austin. We might be racing in Chicago. That's 4 races he can attend. That's why he was always getting phone calls off bloody Gunther Steiner, explaining what's going on. Why would he be refused re-entry, though? Maybe that... Oh, maybe, Tag, yeah. Yeah, but as an American citizen, they can't stop him from re-entering his home country, can they? Without good reason. A lot of lift and coast from George Russell. Mercedes car looks a lot better than last year's car. For sure. I mean, the RB, the Racing Bulls, having such a close collaboration with Red Bull is pretty, yeah, I don't love it. Hey, Jack, sports fans. Nah, you can't really read too much into these times. Well, let me tell you, I hope not. The Red Bull looks ominously fast, though.
Now my face is turned to blue. You took my whole heart and ripped it into two. And the fault's mine, I'll take it. But you didn't patch me up when
What's up?
I was breaking. I go where you go. Lord only knows how much love being broken. I'm half in your hole. Over and over, you're tearing me open again. Tearing me open again. Over and over, you're tearing me open again. Over and over, you're tearing me open again. Over and over, you're tearing me open again. It takes time to heal the wounds, but I've come so far. The scars can be my proof. And just when life has given me my moment, I give it back to you to get torn open, to get torn open. Get torn open. Get torn open.
I swear, man. The Amazon just put the parcel down and then knocked the door. By the time I got downstairs, he was halfway down the road.
I'm losing touch. Need you to say
Something perhaps wrong with the... It looks like they're using last year's gearbox, though. Yeah, something... We think that Williams are using last year's gearbox because they've kept the suspension from last year, I think. Because they haven't done the change to push rod like Mercedes have this year. And you'd need... You know, they can't have that new gearbox because that's got the suspension housing attached to it for the new suspension. The only other alternative, they've designed their own gearbox casing, which I don't think they have. Yeah, so Hamilton's in the car all day tomorrow. Then Hamilton's back in Friday morning. George taking over Friday evening. Well, Williams is still on pull rod. Ferrari are on pull rod. Haas are on pull rod. But so are Williams. Williams didn't go to push rod like Mercedes did. Aston Martin have taken Mercedes suspension, but they haven't. Williams haven't. I don't know why that is. Maybe they just didn't want... Simply, I don't want to. Oh, George with a big lockup as well. Oh, God, it was a big old lockup from George. Jesus. No, Williams haven't got push rod at the rear. Try. Williams have kept... This is what I'm saying to you. Williams have kept pull rod suspension at the rear. They haven't taken the Mercedes push rod. This is the Mercedes. This is the Williams rear suspension from Craig Scarborough. It's definitely still pull rod. Which has surprised everyone because they take normally Mercedes gearboxes and Mercedes engines, and the suspension is attached to the gearbox, and Mercedes have gone pushrod this year. So there's two options. Either Williams have kept the gearbox and suspension from last year, or they've designed their own gearbox casing. One of the two. I'm not sure which it is, but they're definitely still pull rod. Well, the unveiled car was last year's car. It was just a livery. The unveiled car wasn't their car. They only... their car was only ready for the test. They hadn't actually got their car. It was just a livery reveal. So yeah, the unveiled car was just last year's car, which is maybe why it's got confused. I would have said that they would have gone pushrod, mind you. But to my knowledge then, that leaves Ferrari, Haas, and Williams still on pull rod. It's all good. To be honest, I was doubting myself because I'll be honest with you, I get them all confused. Let me just move this back over here. But we all thought it was going to be pushrod. I'm quite surprised that it isn't, but yeah. Maybe it does. Maybe they're cheating, Will. Verstappen, 109 laps. Russell, 84 laps. Charles Leclerc did 64. Sainz is on 37. So they've done, what, 91? So they're cracking along. Norris is now up to 37. Piastri did 57. Oh, but it honestly, the Alpine to me looks like a boat. I think so, yeah. I think it's Williams, Ferrari, and Haas, because Haas are using the Ferrari. Oh, the sun is proper shining. Hold on. Blinding me. So yeah, Ferrari were happy enough with their design. I wonder if Williams have had a compromised design here because they've kept the gear. I'd be interested to find out what Williams have done. Have they decided to keep pull rods, so they've designed their own gearbox casing, and but they're still using Mercedes' new gearbox? Or are they using last year's gearbox and suspension from Mercedes? Be interesting to see. I don't know which it is. Williams are still trying to work out what this problem was with their car. I mean, honestly, I still think Red Bull are going to be clear favourites. I think. We don't know anything from the times. I reiterate that, and I will keep reiterating it for 3 days. However, that Red Bull looks good from the onboards. It looked terrible this morning. It really did look a handful. It was all over the place this morning. But it looks good now. So, I still think Red Bull's going to be ahead. Oh, he's just called it off. I think the engineer at the back has just done that for the Williams. I think something's gone on with the engine or gearbox. God, the slow-mo makes that tire lock look like it lasted forever, doesn't it? Yeah, Max done 109 laps today. He's not in the car on Friday, though. He's in again tomorrow night, and then he's not in on Friday. Now, honestly, dude, that Merc have been solid. They've not put in any good lap times. They've just been doing their own thing. This morning, Merc spent a lot of time in the garage. The car looks good on track. It looks pretty solid. But I can't say any more than that, really. I can't really speak to how quick it is. I just don't know. You know, the cars we would expect to see at the top of the timesheets this season when we get to a race weekend are the cars in the top 3. Verstappen, Norris, and Sainz. In terms of Ferrari, Red Bull, McLaren. Mercedes, though, haven't put in a respective lap time yet. You know, and they're not 2.5 seconds slower. So there's still a lot to come from all teams. I don't think they're sandbagging. I think they're just doing their... I just think they're doing their, you know... Just doing their plan. We hope so. Well, they're not 2.5 seconds off. They're not that bad. No. Like Haas aren't 4 seconds off the pace, are they? It's just, you know, we all know that. Could they be? Well, actually, Trout, he moved to Ferrari before he tried the car in the sim. So he'd already agreed to go before then. That's the hilarious thing, actually, because the day after his he announced his move to Ferrari, he was due in the sim all day. That must have been awkward. Awkward. Hey, let's get going on this sim work for the new car. I'm off to Ferrari. Oh, bestie. They've 100% Drive to Survive. Have 100% gone back and edited some things to make this Ferrari storyline after the news dropped. Because they wouldn't have had any of that during the season. So they've gone back and taken conversations that were had and that were filmed, obviously. And now they're trying to work in the narrative of what they're going to do. Gel. So Elliot was on something with the concept. Maybe it's the drivers who can't make it work. No. No. So what you've got to understand about a concept is not side pods. These cars, the concept is everything. It's the floor and the diffuser are the majority of the downforce these cars generate. And the Red Bull has one of the best floors and suspension systems. And so Mercedes went with a 0-pod concept. Red Bull haven't even gone to slimmer side pods yet. We don't even know if they will. But what we do know is that Red Bull have an incredible floor and an incredible suspension. So if anyone can make it work, it's them. But the concept is not like the drivers couldn't make it work. It's just that they didn't have the whole package. Mercedes didn't have the whole package. They you need the floor, the side pods, and the diffusers all work together, and they just didn't get it right. The suspension, on the Red Bull is doing work, let me tell you. Mercedes have only just changed to push rod. And so, yeah, it's nothing to do with the drivers. just going to have to see when it all pans out in Bahrain next week. Well, they're not, Vad. Well, let me clear something else up. Visa, Cash App, Racing Bulls are not using the Red Bull floor. They are not allowed to. There are allowable parts teams can buy from other teams. Some of those include suspension. All aerodynamic parts, side pods, front wing, rear wing, floor, have to be designed by the team. So they're not taking the Red Bull floor. Just to make that clear. They're taking the Red Bull suspension, but they're not taking their floor. Well, I hope for Checo's sake he has a better season than last year, because he wasn't great. The Red Bull does look hideous, though, with those cannon covers. The more I see it, the more it looks hideous. So I think the Red Bull last year was a particularly good-looking car. I think the Canon engine covers have definitely ruined that. I never said it wasn't the issue, Gel. I said it's the whole concept. It's about the way the side pods work with the floor and the way they work with the suspension and all the rest of it. And they, for whatever reason, couldn't get the whole thing to work. They saw in the wind tunnel that there was, you know, benefits to it. And so they've decided now to go down a different route, Mercedes have. Red Bull have seen those same benefits to potentially what Mercedes were doing, and they've decided to have a go themselves. But they might get it right. But it's not purely down to the side pods, it's down to the way their floor works, the suspension, etc. That's what I'm saying. It's all about how it all works together. I think they gave the zero pods at Mercedes 2 years, and I don't think they wanted to give it another year, to tell you the truth. They could have made suspension changes and floor changes and kept the concept. But I think maybe they didn't want to take another year on it. If anyone can make that concept as a whole work, though, it's Newey, isn't it? The Wind Whisperer. There's so many memes online already of Adrian Newey looking at that Mercedes longingly, saying, "I can fix you." God. We'll see. How long we got left? Just over an hour. Okay, so that's confirmation. Williams are using last year's Mercedes gearbox. They're not using the shrunk down gearbox. They are using last year's gearbox. because they wanted to keep the pull rod. It's interesting. Who are you saying needs to be replaced? Sock hands. Perez. Oh, you must replace it. Well, yeah. We'll see how he gets on. He might have a better year, maybe. He definitely needs to prove something. Mercedes floor doesn't look as detailed as the McLaren, the Red Bull, even the Williams. I suppose we don't understand the relationship to how it's working with the underbody. So it's hard to say that it doesn't look as detailed, but that doesn't mean it's not, doing what it needs to do. Russell's out on the hard tyres. I think the Mercedes looks quite neat and tidy. Well, Perez did struggle last year. Perez, needs a better year, for sure. I've just remembered that Hamilton's going to Ferrari next year, and it's just came into my head there, and it shocked me again. Hamilton's going to Ferrari. It's unbelievable, Jeff. He's gone stale? What are you talking about? He's gone stale. What does that mean? I think Perez would have to have a really bad start to the season to get replaced midway. I think. McLaren looks pretty solid. I don't understand what you're saying, dude. You're saying Lewis Hamilton's become dull and predictable. How do you mean he's become predictable? I don't understand. I don't understand what you're saying. What Anthony's saying is also very good. Alonso's still in P7 from the morning session, which is actually very good. Mercedes definitely seem to be running the car lower than others. I don't know if that's because of fuel load or whatever. Definitely sparking more down the back straight. Russell's done 90 laps now. Yeah, Sainz is leaving Ferrari, sadly for him. Yeah, I think Audi's it's a likely destination for Carlos Sainz, isn't it? I feel like they flagged to deceive Ferrari in 2022 because they were competing against Red Bull early on. Then they fell off and Charles Leclerc was making mistakes and all that. But then in 2023, Ferrari were nowhere again. Later in the year, they started competing with Red Bull in qualifying, but they were nowhere near in the races. We all thought 2023, oof, they were so close in 22, they're going to really compete this year, and they went backwards. So, not great. This Racing Bull looks pretty planted as well. In the hands of Ricciardo, it is looking nice. It looks like a nice car. I think it's going to be a shock of the season. Yeah, I think we should just call it Toro Rosso. I'm not going to call it VCAB. Let's just call it Toro Rosso. Looks very well balanced though from this onboard with Danny Rick. Oh, he went off right on the last corner. I don't think it's the nicest livery. I don't like the way the white goes down the front of the chassis. I like the color blue. I just don't like the white on the front of the chassis. If that white wasn't on the front, I think it would be a top tier livery. Mastercard Toro Rosso. Let's call it the Amex. We were talking about this the other day, but I didn't know that Visa and Cash App are two separate companies. I thought Visa owned Cash App, and that's why it was called the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls. But they're completely separate companies. It's two different sponsor names in their title, and I didn't know that. I'm not familiar with Cash App. I don't really use it, and so. No, Visa isn't Cash App. They're two separate companies. You've got Visa, and then you've got Cash App. So it's the Visa Cash App Racing Bull. They're two... Yeah, that's what I meant. They're two different sponsors. I thought it was the Visa Cash App because it's a cash app. So I just assumed it was Visa's... the Visa Cash App. But it's not. Cash App is an app, and Visa is a company. And I didn't know that. I was like, what? Visa don't own Cash App? No, it's completely separate. The Cash App founders murder, no? Having a look. Cash App was developed by a company called Block Inc. Oh God. On April 4th, 2023, Cash App founder Bob Lee was found stabbed to death in San Francisco. I really want to try and like this state car a little bit more, but I simply can't. I want to like it, but I simply can't. It offends me. You think it's your favourite? Oof. Verstappen's about to dunk on George Russell. Seemed unnecessary, Max, but okay. I don't know how you could think steak looks better than Ferrari. We have another. Are you serious? You think the steak livery looks better than Ferraris? Or Aston Martins? No. Listen, fair enough. If you like it, you like it. It does look like an IndyCar livery, you're right. It looks cheap to me, that's the biggest issue. I hope for Mercedes' sake that they're running a lot more fuel than Red Bull, or their engines turned down, because Max drifted past Russell like he wasn't even there. So they'll know. Yeah, there is a lot of carbon on display, you're right. It just, you don't notice it as much because it's blended in pretty well. But you're right. Big lockup from Lando. It is 124 laps and there's still 45 minutes left. Like, they've got all the data they could possibly need. Two race distances. I mean, normally it's 57 laps. So he's done over 2 race distances. That Alpine is, the front of that Alpine is properly on the ground, isn't it? No, he hasn't been on all compounds because the Red Bull haven't brought any soft tyres to testing at all. So the C4 and the C5, the 2 soft compound tyres, Red Bull haven't brought any of them to testing. So we won't see Red Bull on any soft tyres. Watching this onboard of Carlos Sainz. It's still a little bit loose at the rear. It doesn't look too bad in certain areas. But it does, the tail, it does look a little bit loose. And yeah, as you say, it's still quite bumpy. It seems like it is set up quite stiff, the Ferrari. People have kicked off recently, haven't they, about the AlphaTauri being the clothing brand of FIA? Oh my god! You know the. In fairness, I do agree with what other people have said. You know, Mercedes and Aston Martin do the safety cars. McLaren do the ECUs. You know, AlphaTauri doing the the fucking shirts is hardly a big deal. But you know what people are like? Oh, conspiracy, Red Bull conspiracy. Like, come on. Is it a smart move for them to partner with AlphaTauri at this moment in time? Probably not, but it's not a big deal. I think I'll still call them out AlphaTauri or Toro Rosso. I think RB is confusing. I think calling them RB is confusing.
Work your fingers to the bone. I know you can keep me warm. Don't you leave, it's getting cold. I got you and you got me.
I don't foresee us having any faster laps now.
Oh love, it's like I'm fading away. I want more, I want more. Oh love, I really want you to stay. We'll push it to the edge for real. We'll push it to the end now. We'll push it to the end now. I want your body, all in. 'Cause I love the way you make me feel. We'll push it to the end now. We'll push it to the end now. I want your body, all in. 'Cause I love the way you make me feel. I want your body, all in. I want your body.
I'm just looking at a picture here. Hmm. Well, Williams, you know. I think Williams have looked all right, to be honest with you. Yes, they've had this engine problem, which has curtailed their running, which is not ideal. Especially not for Logan Sargent, because Sargent has done, what, 21 laps and his afternoon's over. Which is not ideal. But at the same time, the cars looked all right when they were out on track.
Subscription received. Apparently you were doing the right, Captain.
Drivers, cars, wheels, speed, and right.
Just looking through some pictures. I'm just seeing if there's anything we've missed. I want to talk about. Apparently Lewis left the I guess he's not interested in sticking around for the debrief. Stylish, thank you for the 70 months. Lewis is like, yeah, I'm not fucking sticking around for this shit. He's already gone. He does like his fashion, so maybe. Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he's off to the Ferrari factory. Oh my. It's got a light shining in my face, guys. Through the blinds. It's that time of the day where the sun is high. $35 minutes left. Well, he's not excluded from race debriefs, is he? He was fucking there. He'll be excluded from talk about 2025, obviously, but... Yeah, they can't exclude him from the debriefs of races and sessions he was in. There's only one team to run the soft tyre so far today. Or a soft tyre, the C4, and that was Albon. His teammate Sargent did run the C5 briefly, but he actually then went on to set his fastest time on the C3. Pretty much everyone's set their best lap times on the C3, which is the soft for next weekend. time is the... Yeah, possibly Tilba, but at the same time, you want to test those compounds for other tracks. But yeah, they've maybe felt there was no point in bringing them. They do 3 full days of testing. So 24 hours in total. 4 hours morning, 4 hours evening. Perez and Hamilton, the only drivers not to be in the car today. Russell, yeah, is up to 101 laps now. He's only 20 or so laps behind Verstappen. It's not too bad. Yeah, 32 minutes of testing left. Yeah, that's right. So the race, the first 2 races are on a Saturday, Jack. Bahrain, first race weekend, and then second race in Saudi Arabia are both on Saturdays. It's because Ramadan starts on what would have been the race Sunday in Saudi Arabia. So they moved Saudi Arabia forward by a day. But because these are back-to-back races, they then moved Bahrain forward by a day. So for the first 2 races of the season, qualifying will be on the Friday, race on the Saturday. So I don't know if this is something that's going to be permanent. I was told it was to do with Ramadan, but I don't truly understand that myself. But yeah. Yeah, it's all about the money. Sorry, what's this? Oh, I was wondering what this cover was. They've covered the cockpit because they're spraying clovers. God, that Flovis looks bloody horrible. I don't want to be the one clearing all that off.
The world feels like a safer place.
I haven't got anything in to eat today, guys. What should I have to eat? Healthy. Verstappen is back out on track. He's not messing around. They've had a very clean day. Very smooth day, have Red Bull. Mushroom risotto. Yeah, Mercedes washed. Williams are ahead of him. Logan Sargent, world champion 2024. He's not had any damage, no. Mushroom risotto. Chili. Can't really do healthy chili though, can you? Veg chili maybe? I suppose, yeah, I put low fat mints and you're not doing too bad. I think we're going to the gym, though, after this. I've been sat here all day, so I feel quite sleepy. Well, we're going to the gym, I think. Oh, no. Not corn mints for me. Cauliflower rice. No. I'm not sure if I've ever tried cauliflower rice. I'm sure I have. Max Verstappen put in another quick lap. Purple sector 1. He's just having some fun with it, you know. It just looks planted. Like, the Red Bull just looks planted. Yes, we can't rely on the times, but it's just... It looks quick. It looks quick. And early this morning, I had hopes because the Red Bull looked all over the place, but... Nah, it's just... Yeah. It's going to be hard. This Red Bull's going to be hard to beat. Yeah. That's going to be a hard car. That's going to be a hard car to beat, that is. Yeah, that's fair enough, Jack. Well, the thing is, there's not that many calories in rice, is it? It's carbs. Really. That's the issue. But in moderation, rice isn't too bad. You're having it in moderation. Hmm. $31.3. I'm pretty sure the qualifying time for Max last year. Hold on. Was a 29.7. That was the pole time. $400 calories in some microwavable rice. Oof. I didn't know that. Oh, he's testing it, all right.
Monday morning,
Hmm.
I have your face stuck in my head. It's almost daylight. It's 5 p.m. where you are. So pick up your phone now and tell me something. I'll be sitting here waiting for you to call.
I don't know. We don't know what everyone's running. Fuel, all the rest of it. But that Red Bull... it looks quick, doesn't it?
Waiting for you to call me again. 'Cause I was feeling scared on the
Listen, I'm willing to give it a go, Jack. I'm willing to give the cauliflower rice a go.
Monday morning is better when I'm in your bed.
Can you just buy cauliflowered rice?
I'm when I have your face.
Or cauliflower rice, I should say.
It's almost daylight. It's 5 p.m. where you are. So pick up your phone now and tell me something.
Might need to get some
I'll be sitting here waiting for
broccoli rice.
again. 'Cause I was feeling scared, unaware, wanna know if I'll see you again. I'll be sitting here waiting for you to call me again. 'Cause I was feeling scared, unaware, wanna know if I'll see you again.
Cauliflower rice. Might try it. Oh, God. Yeah, give Max some extra weight. Well, I don't think that would matter because Max will be so far ahead. If he only had one wheel gun, I think he could come in, they could share one wheel gun and they'd still win. I think you'd have to do something more extreme. What if Max has to pull a trailer behind him the entire race? Full of weights. You know, like a tractor pull. Or, yeah, he has to replace the wheels himself. He has to get out of the car, undo his seatbelt, change the wheels himself, and then get back in. Yes. Now we're talking. How long do you reckon that would take him? Seatbelts. I'm just imagining it in my head. He's got to put the front jack on, rear jack on. Front jack, rear jack. All the tyres off, change the tyres. It's going to be at least 40 seconds. At least. How about Max can only race on a set of hard tyres? He's only allowed to race on hard tyres. He's only allowed to qualify and do the race on one set of hard tyres. That's it. All right, another one. Max isn't allowed a front wing. He's not allowed a front wing. He has to have a plough. Oh God, yeah, something's all over the track. A bit of carbon's fallen off the Haas. Looks like... It looks like a steak. A steak wing mirror. Looks like a... Oh, it's come off the Aston. It's come off the Aston. Is that the wing mirror? Yeah, that's bizarre, isn't it? RB have the Hugo branding and Red Bull have the Boss branding. Yeah, the left wing mirrors come off Lance Stroll's car. I'm just going to call them Sauber. I'm just going to call them Sauber. Aston looks nice out on track. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's Valvoline. That car is flow-vizzed up to the max. Isn't it? All over the floor and everything. Well, we can't be referring to steak Sauber as a filet mignon or a ribeye. They are a rump at best. They're just frying steak, that's all they are. Trump steak. Yeah, the paint's called Flow-Viz for flow visualization. They spray it on or paint it on and then they see the flow patterns. Acts a little bit like air to see where it's flowing. Right, we've got like 10 minutes left. I don't think anything else is going to happen, so I'm going to get a... I'm going to call it there and get a move on. Right, to my YouTube friends, thank you very much. I'll be back first thing in the morning again for day 2 of testing. I appreciate you watching earlier and this evening. Goodbye. And then to my Twitch friends, I will also be back tomorrow. at 7 a.m. to watch more of pre-season testing.